All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Allison Bowman. I am the Administrative Assistant for the Arts Council of Johnson County. And I am here with some lovely ladies from ArtsKC. And this is part of our Creative Conversation series. And we're going to be talking about their Who Needs Art campaign. And so without further ado, I will just go ahead and turn it over to you guys for introductions. Dana, do you want to go first and introduce yourself and tell us your role?
Absolutely. Thank you, Allison. And I apologize for if you can hear the construction work. Some much needed sewer repairs are going on in our neighborhood, so we're grateful for that. My name is Dana Knapp, and I'm president and CEO of ArtsKC. I've been with the organization a bit over 5 years, and I will now turn it over to Natalia.
I am Natalie Herrera. I'm the communications lead of ArtsKC. Just started last year during the COVID, but yes, a new face to the team for sure.
And I'm Leslie Escareno. I also joined the team back in the middle of the pandemic. I am a communications and program associate here for ArtsKC. And for the organization, I primarily focus on social media management, marketing support, and running ArtsKC Go.
Awesome. That is great introduction. Thank you. So let's jump into the Who Needs Art campaign. Dana, do you want to take it away and give us kind of an overview of the program and what you're kind of doing right now and how long it's going for?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we witnessed real devastation during the pandemic, alongside some real brilliance on the part of our individual artists and our arts organizations. And, really core to our mission is advocacy and awareness and education, not only about the devastation that COVID kind of brought on our industry, but also the celebration of the innovation, the collaboration, and the benefit the arts bring to each and every one of us. And so we internally felt a real strong push to tell that story in a very deliberate, in a very lasting way. And so we chose to develop what we call a campaign, or what Natalia actually calls, rightly so, a movement. And that campaign was divided in, or is divided into 3 phases. Awareness, really the education part of it, the database part of it, anticipation, really drawing people in and understanding what's going on in the arts community, how they could be a part of it, and then ultimately participation. Our aim is to really drive people back to events. So this campaign began in July. We kicked it off, and our aim is for it to be at least a year long. It is a relentless refrain, educating and building awareness. We worked with a brilliant creative firm, Design Ranch. So we created Natalia's leadership, and Leslie and Design Ranch created brilliant and beautiful assets that are representative of artists and organizations in our region. This is about us, ArtsKC, really providing opportunities, assets, messages that everyone can deploy. So we really want this to be something that everyone can be part of and that we can push out into the community. So Who Needs Art campaign is fundamentally about telling the story of the challenges our industry has faced, but most importantly, the power, the transformative power the arts have and do play within our communities. So I'll stop there and I'll turn it over to Natalia. She really led the way and really shared her brilliance within the design and now the deployment of the campaign.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the also the general thing we were seeing during the pandemic was how the art was giving us that window of the what was happening in the world, but how we were communicating with our community through the music, through art. Art therapy became the therapy of many of us during the pandemic, and I think we saw the opportunity there of continue showcasing, but also re-educating our audience, the elected officials, the corporate, the general audience about how important, essential are the arts. And I think that was our main catch that we kind of grab from there and say, we just need to develop this campaign, this awareness campaign, to humanize the arts. We just need to humanize the art as a general, and not for people not to see as just an aesthetic or entertainment. And it's more than that. All the benefit that the art brings to the cities, to social, to our personal, so that was kind of like the main push and main drive of this campaign. And, we want this to be a year-long campaign, but this has so many legs that we're going to continue pushing it throughout the years, because it's something that is not an ending, an ending topic. It's something that we want to continue pushing. And, of course, a campaign, the results are not going to be immediate. And this movement that we're creating is for artists, but also for the audience to continue integrating themselves back to the arts. And it's taken a little bit slow and because of COVID, but that's what we are right now. We are in that participation phase, and our efforts right now is helping artists and arts organizations to bring people back to their spaces. They need it, they want it, they're waiting, really eager, seeing people back to their space. And that's what our aim to do. So the process was a very, for me personally, it was a very amazing process, especially because for me, I come from the corporate. So for me, it was the first time being in the art industry, and seeing and learning about the arts and the artists and arts organizations, their needs. And that was for me my learning phase. And I was saying, like, if I'm learning, I need to showcase this to the other people who are in the corporate world, of how amazing and great is the arts. For me, it was just, the museum and theater, whatever, but I was not seeing the bigger picture. So the process for me was personal, but also, trying to bring this campaign to life. So our biggest thing was to focus on our local and our regional artists and arts organization, showing the diversity, showing how rich is the culture in the Kansas City and the regions, and making sure that the highlight of the campaign are the artists and the arts organizations. So that was a focus. So when we were talking with the design creative or design ranch, we said, this needs to be our focus. We need to be representative. We need to be diverse. We need to include every type of artist and arts organization, no matter if they're emerging, no matter if they're established. We need to bring everyone together, because we all suffer at the same level. It was not just the smaller, we all suffered. So I think we all need to come together as a movement to educate everyone of the impact of the arts. So it was like a very powerful process of bringing all these people together. And honestly, we are so grateful. The artists and arts organization were amazing. They share all their creatives, and you guys were amazing. We had Sarah in one of our focus group. We bring a lot of artists and arts organization, our focus groups, to also help us analyze the campaign and see we were going in the right direction in terms of the creatives. And we had so great collaborations, and the process was amazing. Like every communication plan, you have your ups and downs, but honestly, the whole process has been so positive. The response we're getting is amazing. And we're just, bringing as much as we can, more people into the this campaign and making sure that people jump into this train to create more movement and more awareness. And our dream is for this campaign to be replicated in other parts of Missouri and Kansas. So that's what we're trying to also aim to. But yeah, that's kind of like my experience creating this campaign, and the response of the community was amazing.
Awesome. How are you guys collecting stories and testimonies? What's the process for that?
So we had a launch event where that was kind of our first experience where we gather people there on site. We have a website. It's the campaign.artskc.org, where people can submit their stories. So there's like a little form that people can do it. And we've been pushing it through social and all our communication platforms. And then also we've been attending a lot of community events where we've been trying to capture stories at the moment. You know, I'll completely be honest, it's tough to capture stories and testimonials, or also for people to record a video. So that's a process that we continue working on. But that's kind of like we're working on with our tools, our social media and our all communication tools to grab some kind of the testimonials. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So Leslie, do you want to talk a little bit about your side of the project and kind of how it's going hand in hand with like ArtsKC Go, and then what's next?
Yeah, for sure. So, of course, like Natalia and Dana mentioned, we worked with Design Ranch to create all the visual components of the campaign. And then from that, our team, me, Natalia, and a few other members of the ArtsKC team created some messaging. So some captions to go along with social media posts and the languages and components of that website that Natalia just mentioned. So my focus primarily has been scheduling that content and putting it together to make it public facing. And the key strategies there are to push out the creative so people can see all the beautiful faces and people who create artwork in our community. Like Natalia mentioned, we're in the participation phase, so we're constantly promoting events each week to draw people into all sorts of venues, small, mid, large, all over the region that we serve, pushing people to come back into event spaces, whether it's virtually or in person. And then also sharing those testimonials and stories. So those who have willingly shared their story with us, we wanted to share them and their perspective of like how the arts have impacted them and what it means to them. And that kind of goes hand in hand with my role of managing ArtsKC Go, because ArtsKC Go is the way that we are able to connect and keep up to date with artists and arts organizations in our community. So as they're submitting events into ArtsKC Go, I'm pushing those out on all of our other channels the best I can. And same with artists, as I'm discovering new artists and artists are submitting profiles, I get to know them and reach out and have conversations. And of course, if they have questions, they usually end up reaching me in one way or another. And I get to answer their questions and kind of help them the best that I can. So that's how it integrates into my role right now. And moving forward, as we head into the holiday season, we're currently in the planning process of figuring out how can we serve our community in the holidays, and how can we use this platform that we created with Who Needs Art to also kind of ramp up based on what we've learned through the first phase and through the first couple of months, knowing that we're heading into the holiday season. It's going to be colder, kind of where we kind of fit into it. So we've done a little bit of research and started to plan. And so there's a few exciting opportunities coming up where we hope artists and arts organizations can partner with us if they wish, or if it's a good fit for them, so that we can hopefully help elevate their message and help them meet their goals in any way that we can. Sorry, my dog is having a scratch fit. But that's kind of what's coming up next. We're really in this phase of analyzing how far we've come and how we've gotten here, and the difficulties and the achievements, and how we can fine tune that moving forward into the second half of the campaign, and even beyond, as Dana mentioned, if we can push this campaign further into the future with many legs and different messages as we hear back from the community of, hey, this is what's working, or hey, I'm a little unclear about this. How can we kind of refine and tune it up?
Cool. So I know that ArtsKC Go has an artist directory. Would you say that this campaign is helping you guys further that, like find artists for the directory, help artists connect to resources and that kind of thing?
Yeah, on average, I'd say we receive about 5 to 10 new artist profiles per month. So it's not a crazy new amount of discovery. And I think we primarily discover artists through some of our programs, like now showing which places artists into business spaces. People hear about that program, and that's a natural way for them to learn about ArtsKC Go and list their make their profile to be listed on that directory. And then social media is another great way for us to discover new talent, or for people to tag us in something and we see their work and we're like, hey, this is so cool. We'd love to have your work on ArtsKC Go. And that's how we can stay connected with you. ArtsKC Go, I think, has been seen the biggest growth in event submissions. Of course, when the pandemic hit and a lot of events and seasons were canceled, ArtsKC Go dropped in event submissions. So previously having about 200 or 300 events dropped down to like 50, which is not a lot of events. And we kind of saw that across the board, but now we're kind of getting back up to having 100, 150, 200 events, which I think is partly because as we've gone through the pandemic, people are starting to put on more events. And then I'd like to think that it is also partially because of the campaign, and we're trying to offer additional promotion as we can and really bolster that message of come back into art spaces. We're excited to see you again. Don't forget about us. We're still here and we're still providing, or arts organizations and artists are still putting on programs and working hard.
Awesome. Natalia, I have a question. So when you're putting out the campaigns and kind of doing the planning, do you see a lot of overlapping of kind of creative mediums? I don't know if you guys can see this on your side, but are any collaborations coming from it? Do you see artists working together because of, maybe one has shared their testimonial, anything like that?
I think definitely brought back a lot of artists together, but also we are trying to open conversations that maybe people were not talking about, especially social issues with arts. And so we're seeing a lot of artists coming together to bring more awareness on that, but also that partnership. When we did I remember when we did our launch party, a lot of artists came and arts organization came to that event. And I started hearing a lot of monitoring kind of the conversation. I was not gossiping, I was just, but I would hear a lot of conversations saying, hey, it's great that I'm seeing you here because I have a project, we should sit down. And, we gave that space, we opened that space and that conversation when, I sat around some of these artists and I was talking, look, this is the moment for all of us to really move this importance of how impactful is the arts, but we cannot do it alone. We all need to join and do together. And I started hearing this conversation of, hey, yeah, why don't we join together and sit down and let's create some projects and let's talk about it. So I started hearing that at the party for sure. But definitely during, conversations that we're having with individuals, we're seeing a little bit more of camaraderie, a little bit of support between them, because they all felt it. They all felt the devastation, and they're seeing that the more we collaborate together, you can make bigger projects. So we're definitely seeing that. I don't know, Dana or Leslie, if you have any other input on that of what you have seen through ArtsKC Go, but Dana, through all your meetings and events you attend, you have seen that.
I'll just add that I think not only are we hoping that the campaign brings the arts community together, I think fundamentally ArtsKC likes to use our platform to really connect and or elevate and prioritize the arts in other sectors. the municipal elected officials, the corporate and business community. So I will say that we are working very hard to leverage the campaign to build awareness in kind of those other realms. I have a strong belief that we have only begun to collectively understand how powerful a role the arts can play in solving societal challenges, and how critical it is to have the arts community and artists at the table when problem solving. And so our hope is that this campaign not only brings the arts community together, but it really elevates the power of our community in the challenges, the tasks, and the efforts of other sectors. So I have seen that lift and that elevation of what I say collectively, the arts community is accomplishing, and frankly did accomplish during COVID, as Natalia pointed out. But I will say there's still a lot of work to do, and we will be relentless about that visibility and that need to really bring artists and arts organizations to the table.
Yeah. Leslie, can you talk a little bit about other resources that ArtsKC has for artists? I know you've mentioned ArtsKC Go and the Now Showing program, but are there others or any more in-depth information that you can give to artists?
Yeah, our primary, like we mentioned, ArtsKC Go and that artist directory, it's free to list there, and it's also free to list events. Additionally, we offer, of course, Now Showing, which is an opportunity where any artist, as long as they have a set amount of pieces to show regularly, can apply to be in the program. And that program entails businesses selecting artists on a quarterly basis to show their artwork. And the artist receives a flat stipend, and then they also get to manage all of the sales in the program and keep all the sales that were made from each showing. ArtsKC doesn't take any commission from that. And then additionally, we do have a grants program. I know we're kind of more so known for our grants program, but for those who aren't aware, we do offer yearly rounds of inspiration grants. So those are grants specifically for artists and artist groups to apply. They apply for funding for a specific project that they're working on. Those typically open on the second half of our fiscal year, which is around like the springtime of a calendar year. And then we also, on our website, there's like a big resource guide if you're ever looking for professional development services, just different resources around the community to inform yourself to further your own career, or kind of if you have any questions, there's that resource guide that can kind of guide you on different areas. And then periodically we'll collaborate with different corporations, foundations, hospitals, community partners to provide webinars or resources. Like I know this past year, we partnered with Truman Health Medical Center to offer kind of discussion groups for navigating the pandemic and kind of taking care of your own well-being, and how that's hard as like an artist or an arts organization leader to navigate those challenges and to kind of offer that support group. So that was like one example of a service that's not continually offered throughout the whole year, but those opportunities pop up throughout the year. And then of course, we as a staff, we open up ourselves for like questions, or if you have a question about anything, like, hey, I'm looking for a kiln, like for pottery, or like a place to go do this, like we're here happy to help try to find those answers or those kind of resources for you. Like in that situation, I would say, well, have you heard about the Clay Guild? Like the Clay Guild offers operating hours and classes and all these resources for pottery, people who are interested in pottery or who are interested in kind of accessing those materials. So that's kind of where we kind of place ourselves to service artists. And like I said, connecting people to organizations that do the good work, like Charlotte Street Foundation and our Urban Art House, Arts Johnson County, trying to connect them to those organizations that can better serve them and have those programs in place.
Yeah, awesome. I know that we utilize ArtsKC Go and a lot, and we put our events on there, and I think that helps tremendously. And I'm an artist on the directory, and I put my work out. It's just it's a great resource to have. So there's my testimony for that. Dana, you mentioned a little bit about how the arts intersect with like economic development, social justice, which you guys do a lot of advocacy work. Do you have any kind of like big campaigns for advocacy, or what are you guys doing? I know you're a regional arts council, so what are you guys doing for as far as arts advocacy right now?
Mhm. So there's a couple things in play. One, first and foremost, is the American Rescue Plan Act. And right now we are working statewide to identify ways that those the billions of dollars coming from the federal government can make their way to our industry. And most specifically, trying to host conversations about how that funding that goes federal to state and then locally can be identified and directed to arts organizations and individual artists. So that's a lot of conversation. It's a lot of education of our elected officials. It's working with a variety of advocacy and lobbying organizations, as Sarah is working very diligently in Johnson County and in Kansas. We are doing the same. And very recently kind of focused in part on Missouri, because that's proving to be a challenging conversation. So that's one example. Another is a more long-term and impactful gain, and that is with our advocacy practice, we have really set our sights on building infrastructure. And what that means is to elevate governments, for example, Jackson County, elevate government's ability to support the activities and the interests of individual artists, creatives, and arts organizations. And so we are currently starting this work in Jackson County, and we'll take it onward to other counties and municipalities. We are currently establishing a strategic plan, an arts strategic plan in Jackson County that will ultimately inform funding, policy, and leadership within the bureaucracy of Jackson County. And not unlike other cities and some counties in our region, they have arts commissions, they have 1% for art. They actually may have a line item that dedicates funding, not unlike in Johnson County, dedicates funding to arts councils and or arts organizations. We aim to build that within all governments in the region. Tall expectation and order, but you have to start. And we are starting with Jackson County. We're having preliminary conversations with Clay County and with Wyandotte County. So we want to be kind of that silent underpinning and drive that forward, so we can kind of systemically create environments that are friendly and supportive of those we serve.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that you guys are focused on having artists, share stories and kind of have a seat at the table, like you said. And that I think that really helps kind of help educate people and let them know kind of, how important the arts are in our society. So yeah, that's
absolutely awesome. Part of the Jackson County work is additionally storytelling and really coming to the table and giving feedback. So I think it is important to note that it is a community-based endeavor, as it should always be. So the citizens of Jackson County, for example, are informing that plan. And that will be the case as we move forward into other communities.
Very cool. Leslie or Natalia, is there anything else that you guys want to add, or any other resources or opportunities you guys have going on? I don't want to leave anything out, but yeah, either of you.
No, I think for us it's important that the audience or artists and artists don't see us just as we're just a grant program organization, but we're more than that. And we have discussed it during this conversation. We have so many tools to help elevate artists and arts organizations, connect them with corporates and audiences that maybe they don't have access, and we're trying to be those connectors. And we have all these promotional tools like ArtsKC Go, that is such an amazing platform that is for free. That is a great opportunity for the people of our regions to go check ArtsKC Go and see what's happening in the cities and engage in it. But also our advocacy, is huge. It's something that, we have dedicated staff and advocacy who's fully working on that. So that's, there's so many options, so many things we're offering on ArtsKC that we would love people to definitely come to our website, email us, Instagram us, tweet us, whatever version you want to use to communicate, please do so. We're here to listen and connect, because that's what we're trying to do. We are connectors. We're trying to connect and do the bridges between artists, art source, with the corporate and the general audience. So that's kind of like a little input I wanted to bring into the conversation for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add other than I'd love to echo that sentiment that Natalia just mentioned, that we're always listening and always learning, and we'd love to continue to connect with new individuals and the current people in our network. So please always feel free to email us or Instagram us or connect with us in any way that meets your needs, because we're always open to feedback or suggestions or even just a friendly conversation. So yeah, feel free to reach out.
And I will just put a teaser out there. ArtsKC, one of our primary pillars of service is to promote the arts. And at the foundation of that really is to drive diverse engagement and accessibility. And not far in the future, we will be launching a comprehensive program that is directed at arts organizations throughout the region. And that program will aim to support our organizations' ability to really strategically and deliberately reach new and diverse audiences. Mariah Hilson, our Director of Programs and Services, has been working for a couple years really building this. And we had planned to launch it right when COVID hit. And so we delayed that launch for obvious reasons, and we'll be announcing that and launching that early in the next calendar year. So stay tuned. There's more activity and opportunity ahead.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I think we pretty much kind of summed it up. So I just want to say again, thank you so much for taking the time to come chat with me. And yeah, I really hope that a lot of artists connect with you because of this. And thank you guys for all the resources and the work that you're doing in our communities. So yeah, with that, I am going to take off the live stream.
Thank you, Allison.
Yeah.
Thank you, and Sarah. We love the opportunity to share.
Yeah. Thank you so much for giving us the platform to talk about the campaign and everything, our services.
You guys are both rock stars.
You guys too.
We appreciate you.
Well, before you guys hang up, and I know I have a meeting I have to get to, I'm going to email you all about the symposium, because we're going to get feedback. So I'll share that with you. And we've already got a date for next year, so we'd love someone from ArtsKC to be on the
Perfect.
planning team. And then our cultural asset map, we're submitting a big old grant for that, and the intent is to get rolling on that again next spring. And I think it makes sense for someone from ArtsKC to be on our steering committee too. So I'll
Excellent, wonderful.
Perfect.
And I don't know if you know this, Sarah, but did you know the NASA meeting is going to be in our region next year?
No, I didn't.
I think that's insider information, but we need to get together about that because that's basically all state art agencies are going to be in our backyard.
Awesome. And that just made me think too, because I'm on the Mid-America Arts Alliance call, since we're kind of the de facto Kansas arts advocacy org until we get a real live one. We've been part of those conversations, and I'm sure you guys have heard of this Creative States Coalition, which is kind of happening.
Yep, it is. It is the new AFTA.
Yeah.
Theoretically, yes.
Okay.
We're joining. We'll belong to both.
Yeah.
So it's yet one more organization.
Right. Thanks, guys. Yeah. So I don't think we're going to go. They're having some kind of gathering in November in North Carolina.
Yes, but I thought they were going to do webinars too, some virtual programming also, right?
That's what I've heard, and I'm trying to get that information because that's the only way we're going to listen.
And you know who is our source for all of that is Ben Martin.
Okay.
So I will, what I'll do is I always get everything from him and forward it on to Brandon. I'll do the same to you. While he is Missouri Alliance for Arts Ed, he is also the Missouri state rep. Yeah. And he's totally plugged in, and he's one of the people that, I mean, he loves this stuff. So he is on it. And I'll forward those things to you because that's where we're getting the bulk of our information about that that coalition. Okay. He's sitting on all those calls, and he is their delegate.
Okay. Yeah, that would be super helpful.
Absolutely.
I'm getting pieces from Mid-America calls. And we know what's happening, and I've been added to an email list that
I will forward to you. I'll go back and see if I can find some of his latest, and I'll forward them to you.
Okay.
So that's where we're getting our info.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you guys. Leslie and Natalia, thank you. Thank you, Allison and Sarah. I appreciate you.
Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.